Welcome to another live episode of the Eric Crocker Show. I am your host, former NFL and NFL defensive back. And of course, we're talking all things San Francisco 49ers, how they are rolling into the playoffs. And we'll get a little playoff preview here. We'll also talk about Sam Darnold and his first start for the San Francisco 49ers. What did that look like? And some narratives that are out there. I feel like people are doing a certain thing when it comes to Sam Darnold. All right, so we're going to discuss all that and more. And of course, bring y'all on live. I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and download the Underdog Fantasy app. This show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy app. Right now, if you use promo code Crocky, they will double your initial deposit up to $100. So what does that mean? If you put in $50, they'll double that, and now you got $100 to play with, and you got a championship football game tonight. So I know I'm gonna be active on that. If you put in $100, they'll double it, and you'll have $200 to mess with. So how do you do that? Download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code Crocky for a double deposit up to $100. I see everybody feeling good. Big Dez in the house. Yaz in the house. All right, everybody got the flames going up. Mosquito Killer in the house. Let's go. NBN Pineapple in the house. Charlene in the house. Everybody feeling good. I'm feeling good too. The season's over. The tough thing, right? Obviously, 49ers lost to the Rams. I know we didn't make like as big of a stink about it. That was their first divisional loss in really since 2 years, right? They didn't lose a divisional game last year, swept the whole division. This year, you lose one. All right, and there were some people like, are y'all not upset about the loss? And it's like, it's kind of whatever. Like, you sit most of your starters. Obviously, you would love to see another win. You would see the 49ers get to win number 13. But I'll tell you where it does hurt some people. I went back and looked at the 49ers over under on their wins. And I don't know if this was a, after week one thing or if it was right prior to week one. I got to look at the specific date. I know this was in September, but they had the 49ers over under on their wins loss set at 12.5. So what does that mean? They were sitting right at 12 in this game. And a lot of people are probably watching that took the over on the 49ers wins. Like, all right, can you get win number 13? They did not get it. Dallas Cowboys hit the over on their win predictions. The Philadelphia Eagles, who they're in a free fall right now, they went under. They needed this win to hit the over. They lost. All right, so a lot of interesting things that, just had ramifications as far as money goes or whatever. But obviously the 49ers, terrific season. You got hot at the right time. You took a tough loss to Baltimore. We're going to talk about all that and more. But I definitely wanted to start with, and hopefully we're supposed to have Ashley joining us shortly. So we'll see if Ashley pops in here. Okay, let's first talk about the playoffs right now. And as it stands, the Dallas Cowboys, 49ers number 1. The Dallas Cowboys number 2 seed. Detroit Lions number 3 seed. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, remember, they won their division, so they don't have a great record, but they won their division, and they're going to be taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the number 5 seed. You got the Los Angeles Rams. They got hot at the end of the year, and they snuck into the playoffs as a number 6 seed. And then the Green Bay Packers, they took down the Chicago Bears to become the number 7 seed. So very interesting kind of looking at how the playoffs have shaken out. I look at these teams and it's like, okay, well, who's the threat to the 49ers? We'll kind of discuss that. But 49ers, number 1. And going into every year, especially every offseason, the start of every season, like the goal for teams is win your division. First and foremost, you want to win your division. Why? Because you get the home playoff game. All right, so, for a win, automatic home playoff game, you definitely want that. And then from there, obviously, everybody has different I don't want to say goals, but what's like realistic with this team. Detroit Lions, they'll probably say, hey, the goal is Super Bowl. But I think for them, it was just continuing to like tread in the right direction. And they're doing a terrific job of that. The Dallas Cowboys is probably, man, can we just beat them damn 49ers, right? And then from there, we could probably win it all. 49ers, it's definitely Super Bowl. Can we keep our quarterback healthy so we could potentially win a Super Bowl? That was the goal for them. And Philadelphia Eagles probably was like a revenge season for them. Hey, let's get back to the Super Bowl. Well, I say right now, the team that I feel like whatever their goal was, there's 2 teams. The goal prior to the season, and if they achieve that, start with the San Francisco 49ers, win a Super Bowl. I think they have put themselves in a terrific position to do that. they're healthy. They look strong. They're playing physical. They're playing their brand of football. They knocked off two of the big dogs in the NFC. All right. Didn't have a chance to play the Detroit Lions, but I think that would be a good game as well. Obviously, you took a tough loss to Baltimore, but I think the 49ers right now, if they play Baltimore again, they probably tell you, hey, I feel really good about how that game is going to, the outcome of that game. So 49ers, I think they put themselves in a really good position to feel very confident that they are the Super Bowl favorites, which they are, and that they should be, the Super Bowl favorites. The Dallas Cowboys, I think for them is, hey, man, we got to beat the 49ers and get to the Super Bowl, get that monkey off their back. I don't think they did a great job of that heading into this year. You know, they started off fairly well, had a tough loss to the Arizona Cardinals, but a lot of good wins, a bad loss to the 49ers, getting beat down 42-10. That's really tough. And I'd say they still kind of have that monkey on their back. Hopefully, 49ers and Cowboys play in the playoffs. If they do this year, it's because it wouldn't be second round. So it would have to be in a conference championship game. Would that be the most viewed game in the history of the NFL if the 49ers and Dallas Cowboys faced off in the NFC Championship game? I think that'd be huge. All right. And then you have the Detroit Lions. I think they have already achieved probably what their preseason goal was. Like, just can we add and build on what we were last year? And I think they've definitely done that. Number 3 seed heading into the playoffs. I'd assume that they win a playoff game. We'll see how that goes. But I like them. I like the Detroit Lions. I like Dan Campbell. I've been watching them. And, I talked about this a lot, how I am a football fan before anything else. Obviously, huge 49er fan, diehard 49er fan. Had a 49er fan case, or 49er phone case when I was on the Jets. All right. So big 49er fan, but I just love football. So I had somebody comment on Twitter, which you can find me. It's not Eric_Crocker. It's actually Crocky209. All right. But someone was like, oh, man, you stay sucking these other players and these other teams and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, bro, I just love football. So I typically don't hate other players of other teams. I like watching good football players. Actually, I love watching good football players. I love watching good football games. I watched the battle of the AFC East last night, and it's like, man, this turned out to be a good football game. Like, I just enjoy watching it. I enjoy players, and I know I'm not supposed to like, maybe Seattle Seahawks players, but I do, right? I like watching DK Metcalf, and I know when the 49ers play, DK Metcalf is going to be, a physical battle, and he's going to try to intimidate guys. And, I like watching that. Like, I enjoy watching those type of battles and whatnot. So with the playoffs and everything coming on, Dallas Cowboys, and I'm excited to see what the Cowboys do, because I would love to watch a really good conference championship game, maybe between the Eagles and the 49ers, whatever. I think that's kind of lost its mystique a little bit with how the Eagles have finished this season. But I definitely would love to see the 49ers versus Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, he's playing well, but the 49ers have been his kryptonite. And this year, and I actually kind of retweeted it. Let's see if I can find the tweet here. All right, go to my homepage. Boom. And here it is. Dak Prescott on the year. 69. He has completed 69% of his passes, threw for over 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And if you remember, there were a lot of people that were, really making a big issue, not just with him, but Brock Purdy as well, the interceptions during camp. But Dak Prescott, 17 games, 9 interceptions. He said that he wouldn't throw 10 picks this year. He didn't do that, and he was aggressive. So it was fun watching Dak play quarterback. I want to see if can he continue to play like that? Can he play like that against the 49ers? Because, again, they've been their kryptonite. So fun matchup there. Can't wait to see if that comes to fruition. But, of course, you got a long road, and the 49ers have a bye week. So exciting stuff. We got NBN Pineapple. He says, funny thing is we lose because of Moody and not Sam. I think I saw someone else comment about Jake Moody in the chat. And here we go. We got Leroy. He says, worried about Moody and the right side of the offensive line. I don't know if I'm worried about my confidence meter, right, on Moody. And I talked about this on Locked On 49ers. I'm extremely confident, or was extremely confident, in Robbie Gould. Like when Robbie Gould stepped on the field, it just felt like it's going in, right? And because of some of these misses from Moody, and really more so when it happened, like if you miss a field goal and it doesn't matter, kind of whatever, right? You could chalk that up. But he has now missed field goals in games where it feels like there's a direct correlation between his miss and a loss that the 49ers took. Now, again, there are all kind of things that happen in the game that make it come down to a field goal. But I would assume, and I always talk about this, right? Like close games, come from behind wins, things like that, that you kind of need to do in the postseason. You're likely not just going to steamroll everybody and blow everybody out. It's good on good, and we'll see what that looks like for the 49ers in this postseason because they kind of drummed the Cowboys and the Eagles, and I really feel like they drummed the Lions and whoever else as well. But, I feel like, hey, games are going to be tight. And the games are tight, you want to be able to count on your kicker. And in a tight situation, I don't know how much I can count on Jake Moody right now. So Big Dad says Jake Moody gives him Jimmy G vibes. He says when he kicks it, I'm nervous as hell. I would say I agree with that take. I agree with that take. All right. So we'll continue to kind of monitor him and see if he could do something that instills some confidence, not just in us. I think with kickers, you got to instill some confidence in yourself as well. So we'll see if Jake Moody can do that. His teammates might try to prop him up like we saw a lot from Debo and Kittle and all these guys talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm like, do they really believe what they're saying about Jimmy G? Maybe they did. Maybe it was just to give him the confidence that they believe in him. And hopefully they're doing that same thing with Jake Moody. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We get into the next topic, and that is Sam Darnold. And what did we take away from Sam Darnold's Week 18 performance? There's one thing that I don't want to say grinds my gears, but there's something that really, I don't want to say it bothers me because it doesn't really bother me. But I see you, and not you people right now watching in the chat, but just people in general. When people have a thought in their head, they got something in their head, and it's like they feel this type of way about it. It could be Brock Purdy, and he turns the ball over too much, or he throws, and then he throws a pick, and it's like, see, right? It's like, see, I told you, like, they're looking for something to validate how they feel. And I watched Sam Darnold yesterday, and we'll get to his performance, but I watched Sam Darnold, and then afterwards I see the responses, and a lot of the responses are kind of like this with Yaz, right? Like, hey, take away from Sam. Don't want him on the field for more than mop-up duties, right? And I feel like a lot of this take here is, and not to get on you, Yaz, appreciate you, contributing to the show. But a lot of takes like this, and this is mostly what I'm seeing from a lot of people, is because of this preconceived notion on how you feel about Sam Darnold. Oh, Sam Darnold, and then you see the ending of the game, and I saw the tweets. Sam Darnold going Sam Darnold. He fumbled the ball, hit off somebody's helmet, and, it whatever, right? And he made some throws and whatever the case is. Why aren't we focusing more when it comes to Sam Darnold's performance? Why aren't we focusing more on what did it look like with Sam when he had starters in the game? Why aren't we focused more on because he already playing without CMC. He already playing without George Kittle. But you got Debo, you got you got Trent Williams playing left tackle, Elijah Mitchell, whatever. Why aren't we focusing on his performance and what it looked like with the starters? Why are we focusing more on the end result when he's playing with Chris Conley, who had one catch on the year, which happened to be a throw from Sam Darnold, and Ronnie Bill getting that talking to from Shanahan because he maybe ran the wrong route or didn't do the right thing or whatever, and backup tackles. Why are we judging him on that as opposed to what was evident and what was there? All right, which was when the starters were in, without CMC, without Kittle, but when the starters were in, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. I don't even think he threw an incomplete pass. And I'm not saying that would be him over the entirety of a game, but I do know my main takeaway from it, and I definitely want to get this, kind of take off, but my main takeaway from it was Damn, if Brock goes down, God forbid, let me knock on wood. All right. But if God forbid, something happens to Brock, Sam with the starters looked solid. Like it moved the ball, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. Next drive, even without the starters, you drove down, got in field goal range. Kicker missed a field goal. Drove down next possession, scored a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? And for a majority of, especially the first half, I thought he was good. Kicker missed the extra point. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, I saw a lot of good from Sam. And I was so confused by everybody kind of getting on him. And I'm like, well, I know what you're doing. It's because this is you have this thought of what Sam Darnold is. So the one opportunity or to jump on him because it ended this way, like, oh, see, this is why I don't want to see him play. But man, I thought he was fine. Again, first start, getting in there. What it looked like with the starters. What would it have looked like for an entire game if he had Debo and Ayuk and Trent Williams? I'm not even talking about having CMC who wasn't there or George Kittle who wasn't out there. But in my opinion, and I saw a lot of good from Sam. So my main takeaway is, man, he instilled a lot of confidence in me that if anything happens to Brock, he's solid. He's solid. All right. So that was good for me to see. Again, anything that happened outside of that, whatever. Obviously, 49ers took an L. I see this in the chat. It says, Wynn's been on the team for a month, played with backups, and won. I don't care. Like, I don't. The end results, because I don't know, just my opinion. If the 49ers go out there week 2 of the postseason, the divisional rounds, you ain't playing with backups. So I don't give a damn about backups that's in. My thing is, when you have guys out there that you will be playing with, what does it look like? Anything outside of that, whatever. Hey, okay, their backups are better than our backups. I don't know. What do you want me to say? But I do know one thing. When the starters were out there, he led 2 scoring drives, 2 touchdown scoring drives. I don't think he threw an incompletion, maybe 1. All right. And you drove down fairly easy. And that was good to see. Anything outside of that, I don't care about the battle of the backups outside of that. It was, and it always was going to be for me, what does Sam Darnold look like with the starters? And I thought it was good. I thought it was good. So that was just my opinion. You got Kyle Shanahan calling plays. I can only imagine if you got Kittle and everybody else out there. But just with Debo, just with Ayuk, and just with Trent Williams, if you stop the game after 2 drives, what it looked like. And it was good. And anything outside of that, when you have all these backups, I don't care because they're backups for a reason. You had drops and all. Man, did Sam not throw a dart at the end on that last drive to Chris Conley that I don't even want to say it was dropped. It was like knocked out. I thought it was a good play by the DB, but I thought it was a good throw. If he's throwing the Ayuk, does he catch it? If he's throwing the Debo, does he catch it? If he has CMC, do you have other drives that continue to go and not stall? See what I'm saying? But again, I can't say, well, if he had this guy or if he had this guy. I do know one thing. When the starters were in, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. Am I lying? So anything outside of that, and I get it, everybody wants to gang up on Sam Darnold. He's like the redhead stepchild and all that stuff, but he instilled a lot of confidence in me. Good job. Good job, Sam. Good job. I know these niggas praying on your downfall. I know, Sam. I know. All right, appreciate everybody in the chat right now. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I got one more topic for y'all. Then we're going to bring you guys on. Matter of fact, I'll put the link in the chat right now so you guys can come on and, we can talk about it. So there's the link right there. Go ahead, click it, and, you can come in. But last topic. Which team is the biggest threat to the San Francisco 49ers? And we'll just keep it NFC. All right, because AFC, I think we know who that biggest threat is. But is there anything that you've seen from these other teams that you feel, I don't even want to say threatened. It's hard to feel threatened when you beat up on the NFC. You beat up on the NFC. But when you look at the playoffs and how it potentially might play out, right? And if you go back to when I put up who the seeding is, 49ers number 1, Cowboys number 2, Detroit number 3, Tampa number 4, Philly 5, LA 6, Green Bay 7. I'm definitely curious to see how that shakes out. You got the Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers. I like the Cowboys in that game. You got the Lions against the Rams. That's kind of tough. So who do y'all like? Cowboy or Rams or you guys like Rams or Lions? I I kind of like the Rams. I think I just trust Matthew Stafford a little bit more. So if that's the case, and I think this is a good one from Big Daz, he says Lions because their O-line is a threat. That can maybe offset, and he's talking about to the 49ers, all right? But hell, I think the Lions got to get past the Rams. And I know what's going on. Again, got my ear to the ground, you know what I'm saying, to the streets with social media, and people are like, oh man, the Rams. But again, I was watching these games, and I'm like, they look good. Now, they are carried by Matthew Stafford. They are carried by Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams. I think Kyron Williams is running the ball very well. Out of Notre Dame, didn't run very fast at the combine. I want to say he ran 4.7, and people kind of soured on him a little bit. He was a guy that did return duty for Notre Dame. I remember scouting him when he was coming out. But I like McVay and Stafford against the Lions. Just my opinion. All right, I like McVay and Stafford against the Lions, against Campbell and the quarterback. Because a lot of times that's what it comes down to for most of the teams. NBN Pineapple says Laporta got hurt. So if Sam Laporta got hurt, like, that is tough. He's a big part of what they do. Obviously, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I think we have a lot of trust. We have a lot of confidence in what he is, and he's a monster. But yeah, I think with the this resurgence of the run game, right? I mean, we're talking about Todd Gurley run game with the damn run back in the day, like Kyron Williams. He's running so well. You got the run game, then you got Matthew Stafford, and then you got Matthew Stafford able to throw off of the run game. I think in the divisional round, you're going to see 49ers versus Rams. 49ers are going to be able to get back. I got Yasmin coming on. Yaz916. What up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Croc? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling. What's on your mind?
Not much. I'm at work right now, but I wanted to say something. Uh, do you agree? One thing I took from the game yesterday, and I've been knowing this, but it was clear yesterday. Man, Mason is better than Mitchell. Mason needs to be our number 2 back. He would be a starter on a lot of other teams, in my opinion.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, I think they both ran well. I think they both serve a purpose. I think you get a little bit more like fluidity and a little bit more explosiveness. Now, I don't know if Elijah Mitchell is as explosive as he was as a rookie, but you get a little bit more. But man, the way that Mason runs downhill, like he's gonna get every yard that he's supposed to get, he's gonna get that yard and maybe a yard or two more. So I think I kind of agree with Kyle where it's Elijah Mitchell and then Mason. But the weird thing about the NFL, they're really just playing the running back position. And I would tell my guys, man, if you can play receiver, play receiver. Because running back is this position where you can be good and it doesn't even matter. I just saw a couple weeks ago Trey Sermon run for damn near 100 yards. And this is a guy who, 49ers didn't like it and they didn't want to play him. And then he's kind of getting cut from this team and he's over on this team. Then he's on practice squad. And then he gets in the game and they're like, oh man, our running backs are hurt. We got to run this guy, Trey Sermon. And then he runs for damn near 100 yards. So running back is a very weird position because I think guys can be very productive. And I think a lot of backs can be serviceable, but it just kind of depends on what they're given. So Jordan Mason, he might be legit somewhere else or run just as good as Mitchell, but Mitchell must be doing something that Kyle likes a little bit more. That's my only assumption.
I hear you, Croc. I think Kyle's got a personal attachment to Mitchell. I think that's what it is personally, and I get that. You know what I mean? He's been solid for us. He's done a lot, but I mean, when you see Mason out there, man, he runs hard, and it takes a lot to bring him down. Like you said, he'll fall forward for an extra 5 yards that most
Yeah.
other guys aren't getting. You know, so that's all I have to say, Croc.
All right, real quick with Kyle Shanahan, I don't think he ever has a personal attachment to a player, but one thing that I believe he's done, and this has been very consistent of him, regardless of how good everybody else thinks you are or potential and whatnot, for him it's can you do what I'm asking you to do? And if you're consistent at that, then you'll play. If you're not consistent at that, then he just will not play you or doesn't want to play you. And I think a lot of times when we are confused with why a guy isn't on the field more or why he isn't getting certain reps and whatnot, or, are you traded away a player, it's because Kyle don't trust him. So I think with Jordan Mason, it would be cool to ask Kyle, and they asked him a little bit. I think it was Grant Cohn asked him, but I don't think Grant Cohn phrased it right, especially for Kyle, because I don't think Kyle cares for Grant Cohn. But I think the question should be, what is Elijah Mitchell doing more consistently that over Elijah Mitchell that leads to more opportunities for, over JP Mason that leads to more opportunities for Mitchell? Like, that should be the question. Like, what is he doing more consistently? Because I think that's where you would get a legit answer and response from Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Croc, you have a good one, man.
All right, thanks for coming on. All right, again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Got another caller coming on. Here we go, my guy, Shunter Boy, man. What's good, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Cox?
I'm chilling, man. Feeling good. 49ers, I'm ready for these playoffs. I see you did in the little private chat, you said pertaining to JP Mason, several coaches said it was pass blocking. So do you think that maybe Kyle Shanahan, he just doesn't trust that? Because that's what it always comes out to me being like Kyle Shanahan not trusting a guy. If he just doesn't trust you, then I feel like we can all see it, we can all feel it, we can all tell. You think that's what it is, not trusting him in pass protection?
Yeah, I think it's also what he does when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. There's a big emphasis in this offense on what players do when they're not getting the ball, as far as, even things like carrying out fakes or how you run a route, stuff like that. So I think there's probably some stuff there too, where if you watch like JP Mason and Elijah Mitchell look a little bit different as far as things like fakes and stuff like that when there's and so. I think, and a couple of coaches have even said that the pass blocking, he needs to clean up his pass blocking assignments. There's one this off, last off season.
Gotcha.
I missed most of the show. I just wanted to hop on and say what's up real quick. Unfortunately, sorry. But I wanted to ask you. So going into the playoffs, are you concerned? So. One of the things that I've kind of noticed with Kyle Shanahan is it seems like his offense only functions when there are multiple options available. He's so good at basically, he's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers, and he can dictate what the defense does or doesn't do. He can manipulate linebackers or safeties and things like that. But when he's in a situation where those options are kind of taken away from him and he just has to call a standard drop back pass game or something like that, that's when our offense just kind of totally comes apart. And so I wonder, what are your thoughts about is that maybe the Achilles heel? Is that the thing that's preventing us from being able to win some of these games in big moments?
I think that's been the case for a while. And I've had my guy, Greg Pinelli, he has talked about it like, yeah, man, like the 49ers don't have a good drop back passing game. And he was saying this going back to Jimmy Garoppolo. And then, you see some of JT O'Sullivan's breakdowns and kind of the same. He talks about some of these passing concepts and some of the things that the 49ers are doing that he doesn't necessarily care for. And it is tough to kind of differentiate, needing a drop back passing game versus what the 49ers do well, because most of the time they're playing from ahead. My co-host Brian Peacock calls the 49ers a great front running team, and not in like a bad way, but they do a terrific job of getting up on you and then pouring it on you to where now it's just we done beat up on you and you have no chance. But the few times we have seen the 49ers get in a position to where they have to be the drop back passing team, they kind of falter and it doesn't end up being great. So I think that is Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle, as great of things that he does, he also puts everything on his scheme. And if you do everything in this scheme and you do it right, you'll smash teams. You're efficient. You'll come out. You're going to score points. You're going to score touchdowns. But the moment some things don't quite go your way, it's almost like he has no curveball. So I think that's just kind of who he is. I don't know how he can expand on that. He brings people in and it's like, oh, you're a passing game coordinator, but then it's like the passing game coordinator is somebody that he has groomed and brought along, like maybe like a Bobby Slowick, who we just watched coaching the game. Who was I watching? And Bobby Slowick was the offensive coordinator yesterday. Oh, the Texans. So a couple nights ago. All right. So Bobby Slowick, he's the passing game coordinator for the Houston Texans. And the Texans we've seen them need to kind of be a drop back passing team at times and really throw the ball and let it rip. And, that's the guy Kyle brought along. Does Kyle miss him? I don't know, but there definitely is some tightness whether it's Kyle or his players when you kind of get in these moments where, man, we have to play from behind and we need to play a little faster. And it's almost like you kind of just can't.
Yeah, I think it's definitely on Kyle because we've seen the same thing in multiple schemes, meaning with Atlanta, they had similar issues. Now, Atlanta had Julio. So Atlanta, whenever they got in those situations, they just tucked the ball up to one of the greatest receivers to ever play the game, and there's really nothing anybody can do about it. But I think there were times when you saw that in Atlanta, and then there's also times we've seen it before when Jimmy was here. We saw it when other quarterbacks, back earlier on, we were losing a lot of games. We'd get down early and we just didn't have any way to come back. And I know we had different skill players then. And obviously the quarterbacks were playing with backups instead of, guys that are legit starters, but it seemed the same then too. And so I don't think you can put this at the feet of the coordinators because there are different coordinators in each one of those situations. And different quarterbacks too. So I think I'm really worried this is a flaw in Kyle Shanahan, the way he goes about calling games and the way he puts his offense together. Because like one thing that was mentioned to me, and I don't really want to bring up who it was. But one thing that was mentioned to me is that Kyle Shanahan's offense doesn't really have like a standard foundation the way other offenses do. It's almost like a group of packages that are all put together that are all specifically designed to target either certain areas of the field or certain players and stuff like that. But whenever a really good coordinator and a really good defense takes some of that stuff away from you, our offense falls apart. And that's a big problem.
And we saw that in.
I got to get going.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you, Crocky. Thank you so much.
Wait, did Shunda Boy say he has to get going, or was he talking about the 49ers game getting going?
No, he said he had to get going.
Okay, I thought he said that. All right, Chris Roscoe's, what up, man? Good morning. How you doing?
Man, Croc, I come into the show and it's just too much negativity talking about what's wrong with all of this stuff. Listen.
Hold on. How long have you been in the show?
I just woke up and I just.
So you missed when we talked about are any of these games a threat to the 49ers? Probably not because 49ers and smash everybody. You missed us talking about the 49ers being the number one seed and how they're high and they are really moving towards their goal. You missed a lot of the praising of the team.
Really? Hey, I don't think that was a problem in Atlanta. They actually had a really good drop back passing game. So he's a casual for saying that. Hey, what's up, Croc? Hey, number one seed. Oh, feels great. Hey, what's up to the casuals in the listener section? I haven't been here in a while. Mainly Case 49. I hope you having a good day because them Eagles buns. Hey, I'm just excited, Croc. Hey, it's playoff football, baby. We here. I'm gonna be at the game next week. You know what I'm saying? Bang bang. I don't care who we play. We want all the smoke. I mean, it is what it is. Hey, how can Atlanta have a not good, very good drop back passing game? I remember one game Matt Ryan threw for over 500 yards. What are we talking about here? I
Okay,
mean, I
so
understand coming back, like when we fall behind, it doesn't look right. But now with Jimmy Garoppolo, the guy you like to praise, when
that's a
we fell
strong word.
behind, huh?
That's a strong word.
When we fell behind, I think a lot of times we actually did good in the passing game when we had to pass the ball. Remember, I mean, that was like that's one trait that I liked about Jimmy is when things fell apart, which half the time was his own doing, that he could he can pull together a couple of drives and get us to score. I mean, we had a lot of comebacks with Jimmy.
So when we talk about, like, first I'll start with the first part of your question when you asked about Matt Ryan and he threw for 500 yards. I mean, we've seen Brock Purdy throw for 350, 360 yards. So I don't know if like the amount of yards has a correlation with the drop back passing game. To me, how it feels like Kyle's offense is built off of the threat of the run. Now, there have been times where he throws a bunch and maybe doesn't run the ball a lot, but does he still have the threat of the run? Like, that's the big part there, right? Like, could you potentially can you maybe hand the ball off? And in those situations, we've seen the 49ers get the big chunk yardage passing and things like that. So the drop back passing game is if you're down multiple scores, which most teams lose in that situation, but do you feel confident that Kyle will be able to call a game to where he'll throw you back into the game? And I would say most people would tell you no.
And I would say yes.
You would say yes.
Because of the Jimmy G experience.
But we haven't really seen that though. At least since Jimmy.
Oh, well, yeah, ever since Jimmy, yeah, we haven't seen that. I mean, that's as me and you've had many conversations, tired conversations about this. I mean, that's the last thing we need to see from Purdy. But I mean, at the end of the day, when your team dang near just blows everybody out, it's just kind of
tough.
It's hard, and it's just hard. So
it's like the boxer, and I'm kind of using this analogy because you're a boxing guy, but it's like the boxer that knocks everybody out in the first 2 rounds, and then all of a sudden he has to go 10 rounds. It's like, dang, I haven't knocked this guy out. Like, then what?
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough. It's just tough. I mean, it's just being in that situation. You just got to be in that situation. You got to be used to being in that situation. But when your team is so good, it's just hard. So, I mean, I could understand, the people's questions about that. I guess I don't want to say the Niners can't do it. I mean, we've had a limited opportunities to show what we could do, which is the Ravens. I would just say the Ravens game because I felt like I guess I'll give the Vikings game, even though our kicker missed 2 field goals and Christian McCaffrey fumbled. I would say just the Vikings game. I mean, I would say the Vikings and the Ravens game. I'm not gonna say the Bengals game because it was just stupid decisions by our quarterback.
Gotcha.
But
I do have a question.
What's up, bro?
I am excited. You know what I'm really excited about?
What?
I'm excited that I saw Sam Darnold come in, and with the starters, he played very well.
He played okay. If I don't know, go USC.
What do you mean by okay? Like, expand on that, please.
I thought he hesitated on some throws, where he just had to let that thing rip. I did not like the fumble. That was
hold on. I'm talking about with the starters in.
Oh, with the starters in. Yeah, it was cool, bro. It was cool.
Yeah. I'm not talking about with the backups.
Yeah.
I can't judge Sam with the backups. I'm judging Sam. Hey, when you have your starters, no CMC, no Kittle, but the rest of them, you have starters. What does it look like, right? Like, because that's what
Yeah,
I wanted to see. I don't know about anybody else. It's just like, all right,
put up-
because if he has to play in a playoff game, God forbid Brock gets hurt, right? But if he has to play in a playoff game, is he going to be playing with all backups or is he going to be playing with starters?
no, you're right. He'll be playing
With
with starters.
starters. So my thing is, when you watch Sam with the starters, what did it look like?
Yeah, you look good. I mean, we put up 20 points right in the first half.
He put 20 points in the first half,
We
but
got shut out.
he
Hey, we got shut out, huh?
starters.
We
And
got
those 2
shut out.
drives, 2
Man.
touchdowns.
Hey, Conley, that's why you don't get no run because you can't catch. Ray, that's why you only a returner because you can't catch. Casuals. Hey man, we the number 1 seed. Hey, I don't care about the listeners in the listener section. They all casuals too. Hey, Croc, you have a
Hold
good.
on. One last thing.
Uh-oh.
So DK says the defense in those Jimmy comebacks was different. The pass rush is what got it. The pass rush we got is not that special. So basically what he's saying is in games this year, when the 49ers have fallen behind, the difference between Jimmy being able to come back in games as opposed to this year is the defense then with Jimmy was better than the defense now, alluding to the ability to come back in games.
Not 2019. And I so 2019 in the second half of the season, the defense was allowing 26 points per game. And Jimmy actually had to carry the team when we lost starters like Tart, Richard Sherman, Ford, and Quan Alexander. The defense started giving up a lot of points. So if you actually go back to 2019, DK, go look at how the defense had to, how the offense had to be the ones to carry in the second half. 2021, I think you may have a point. 2021, yeah, you may have a point, DK. But more so, that was towards the later end of the season where our defensive line went crazy. And then, I mean, Jimmy didn't play in 2020 like that, barely played. And 2022, I mean, yeah, he played, but he never had to actually come from behind in 2022 outside of the Chargers game. We were up on
Falcons
it.
game didn't do it.
Yeah, so Falcons game didn't do it. So yeah, I'm not sure about that statement. I'm only saying 2021 because I could vividly remember the Rams game that we had to come back from in 2021, the last game of the season. Because the Bengals game we were up and then they came back and tied it up, and then the Vikings game we were up. So yeah, I'm not too sure on that, but I mean it's not a bad observation though.
Gotcha. And then I'll say one more thing. I'll have you on here before I get to the next 2 callers. Big Dad says our team is not built for a drop back football. Defense gave Jimmy the ball back at will. So I got a question for you. All right. Going off of this question from Big Dad. In the game against the Vikings, did the defense give the offense several opportunities late in that game to come back and take the lead?
In 2021?
No, I'm talking about this year.
Yes.
All right. All right. Now, in the game against the Cincinnati Bengals, did the defense give the ball back to the offense several opportunities to take the lead?
Yes. Actually, can I just speak on it a little bit?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So against the Vikings, the defense only gave up 22 points. They actually was pretty locked down in the second half. Also against the Bengals, the defense was locked down in the second half. It was only the offense. You could literally say the offense gave up 14 points in that second half because it was the interception that Brock threw that the Bengals scored off of, and then I believe the fumble, and then they scored off of that. So really, it was the offense that hindered our defense in those 2 different games. Even and against the Ravens, the defense played very well. But then when you're turning over the ball 4 or 5 times, what is the defense supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? You can only hold a team for so long. So
crazy thing is they turned it over. 49ers turned it over 3 times in the first half, and you were still only down 4 points. And then And then in the second half, you turned it over again, and then that started to kind of. It's like, all right, we can't keep. We're trying to keep it.
And then the Browns game, the defense kept us in it too. So actually, the 2 points that these people tried to bring up, which I'm not trying to say like are terrible or anything like that, but in reality, it's just unfortunately it's not true.
Yeah.
All right, Croc. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you coming on.
Yep.
All right, real quick. We got a super chat here from Jesus. He says, Croc, if AJ Brown's injury comes out serious, I think the 49ers play the Bucks. That's if the Lions take care of the Rams. I think the Rams, what's the spread right now? Hold on. Gotta pull out the handy dandy iPhone. All right, let's see what that spread is right now. Wild card. Detroit minus 3.5. I might take Detroit money line. Matter of fact, I got my guy Jason Aponte. A lot of times, like in these situations, I'll send money to Jason Aponte. I'm taking the Rams money line. I'm taking the Rams money line. I like the Cowboys minus 7.5. I will take the Rams money line. Kansas City minus 3.5 against the Dolphins. For odd/money purposes, I might take the Dolphins money line on that. And Texans are at home against Cleveland. Cleveland favored. I might take the Texans just to see. So with betting, it's not even so much about the most likely outcome, unless you're putting like a lot of money on one team. But some of it is, especially if you're doing a parlay. Hey, can these things potentially happen? And if so, you hit big. A few years ago, or a couple years ago, the 49ers were in the postseason. It was when they played Green Bay. So the 49ers played in Green Bay in that 0-degree weather. But that same weekend, the Titans played the Bengals, and there's one other game. The Rams played the Buccaneers. So I put $100 down on the 49ers money line against the Packers, the Bengals money line against the Titans, who are favored, and the what was that third game I just said? Oh, and then the Buccaneers. I put a money line Buccaneers against the Rams. $100 down. I hit for $1,700. So that's how you do it, baby. That's how you do it. All right. Anyways, as far as these, yeah, I hear what you're saying. The Buccaneers. I mean, they might win regardless. Like the Eagles, they're not playing good football. They're just not. So I'd say even if AJ Brown was out there, that game is still a toss-up. The Eagles just are not playing good football. They're just not. Appreciate everybody for tuning in right now. I see my guy Jesse in the chat. What up, Jesse? Last Second Sports. Come on, man. Come on, man. All right, we got CJ Gray coming on. CJ, good morning, man. How you doing?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right. Y'all had an interesting conversation going on about coming back from behind in these games and so forth. And honestly and truthfully, the 3 of the 4, well, we have 5 losses, but obviously the 5th loss is they were playing backups. We just throw that out of there. The Baltimore loss is the only loss we've had where we've had people on the field, where we had all our guys on the field. The 3-game losing streak, basically Debo got hurt the second play of the game, and Trent was basically hobbling around, so that won't really Trent. And then Trent missed the next 2 games along with Debo. So the full arsenal won't out there, and we would just have to assume if they were out there that they probably worth 10 to 14 points. So we probably win those. We probably win all 3 of those games more than likely if they're playing. And so Brock turned the ball over in those games, but probably maybe probably less in a position to do all of that stuff if you had all your pieces out there. Trent, you're probably running the football more. Debo, you got a decoy out there that they got to account for, so that opens up the offense. So that kind of changes those circumstances. The game that I worry about the most is the Baltimore game, just because it seemed like they were able to be in our spots. Like Brock he throws with anticipation probably more than anybody else in the league, and so if their defenders can be in our receiver spots, because often the receivers know where they're going and the defense doesn't, and so that makes an offensive advantage. But what Baltimore did is they seem to know the spots, and they have the athletes to get to those spots, close those windows down. And so from a game plan standpoint, it looks kind of worrisome just from Baltimore. If you're looking at our season, if you're going into the playoffs, the only team that concerns me greatly, well, two teams concern me greatly going into the playoffs in the NFC is the Rams and the Cowboys. Even though we stomped the Cowboys, I just think in a situation is, say if our offense gets off to a slow start and they're able to get up on us, and now they get to send their pass rush after us, and that could be an ugly game for us. And then the Rams, of course, are a division rival, and they know us. So those are some of my thoughts about the season. As far as what you was talking about, who was winning in the playoffs, I agree with you totally about the Rams. They're going into Detroit and they winning.
It feels like it. Like it looks like a team that, you know, they've had a lot of injuries throughout the year. You know, they had to play a game or two or whatever without Stafford. They played half the season without Cooper Kupp. And when we saw those guys all on the field at the same time, Stafford, Puka, Cooper Kupp, you know, not saying it was perfect, but you saw them kind of building towards something. And I think the way they ended the year, it was more so of what they are potentially capable of doing in the postseason. So when I see the Rams have to take on the Detroit Lions, I just have more confidence in Stafford, Puka, Kyron Williams. That was a guy. Kyron Williams missed some time. He came back. I mean, damn, they're running for 100 yards a game. Once he came back, just, you know, being able to rely on the run game and then throw the ball. I think that's kind of a good recipe for the Rams. So great coaching job by Sean McVay. And he's made them a team that, again, like I said, I put money line on the Detroit, on the Rams for sure.
And that leads me to believe that Dallas actually has a easier road to the championship game potentially than we do. Even though we're going to play one less game, it's because the Rams is probably the third best team in the conference, to be honest.
I think they are playing right now kind of like the third best team in the conference. I think at this moment I'd agree. And it kind of reminds me of, I remember talking to my guy, Will Blackman, and he told me kind of a story about when he was on the Giants and they went to the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. And how, like, throughout the year, there was a lot of turmoil. Like, there was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of trying to figure things out. And they kind of backed into the playoffs as a wild card team, and then, boom, it clicked. And it feels like with the Rams right now, they don't have O.C. Umenyiora and Michael Strahan and that terrific defensive line the Giants had. But it feels like they're kind of starting to click a little bit. And not the game against 49ers, whatever. That's backups for the backups. But just in general, what I've seen from them over the last month or so, it looks like a team that is going to be playing with a lot of confidence. And they've been there, done that. So all they needed was, hey, can we get it together? Can we start to click a little bit? And if so, what would that look like? And I think we're starting to see that now.
Yeah, because I think Dallas has got Green Bay, which I see them just flat out steamrolling them. I just like the Packers. I just like Jordan Love is a young player, never been in the playoffs before, and Dallas is that Parsons and Lawrence and that pass rush after him in Texas Stadium. I see them getting blown out, and then they're gonna go to the division round against Tampa, who isn't all that good, or Philly, who's in a death spiral if somehow they get out of Tampa Bay, and then they got them at home, so they probably exterminate them too. And so we're gonna have to see them in the championship game to go to the Super Bowl, and if we start out fast, it can end up like Week 5. Start out slow, might get embarrassed at home and watch the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl.
Oh man, I hope not. And you know what? Crazy thing. So my co-host Brian Peacock, before the season started, we actually made predictions, right, on how things would play out, you know, going Super Bowl, all that. And I don't know why, but this happened independently. Like Peacock and I, sometimes we'll talk about show topics, but we always talk about show topics ahead of time. But we never talk about our thoughts on it because we want our conversation to be more organic. So when it got to like predictions on how the season will play out, whatever, Super Bowl, all that, we both picked the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. So that was prior to the season. Again, once the 49ers started rolling, it was like, oh no, like 49ers got, like, they're good, they're great, they're ready to go. But I don't know why, but both of us independently, like not even having this discussion, we had the 49ers going to the Super Bowl. So
That is
I want to say we said 49, we had the Dallas Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. And I want to say we said Dallas Cowboys versus Kansas City Chiefs. So, and I don't feel confident in the Chiefs. I don't feel confident in Dallas Cowboys either. So hopefully 49ers just end all that, and put everybody out of their misery. But Peacock said, hey man, wouldn't this be interesting if the 49ers and the Cowboys had to meet up in the NFC Championship game, which right now it looks like it potentially could happen, and something happened to Dak Prescott, and all of a sudden Trey Lance had to play. And I know right now he's behind Cooper Kupp, right now, but hypothetically speaking, this was Peacock in preseason. He's like, hypothetically speaking, Trey Lance has to come in and he beats the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, bro, that's some wild stuff that just won't happen. And I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to get to the next caller, man. I appreciate you coming on, CJ.
All right, man. Peace out, man.
All right. I think it was my guy Jesse from Last Second Sports. I want to say was it him, or it might have been my guy Ryan Hensley, who they say like nothing gets 49er fans more riled up than bringing up Trey Lance. And I have no idea why, but there's a portion of the 49ers fan base that actually like really hates and despises anytime you bring up Lance. I don't know why, but it's really kind of the wildest thing ever to me, because like, I could bring up, let's say, I don't know who was on 49er last year. I'm trying to think of a player. I don't know. I can bring up Jaquiski Tart, right? If I just casually bring up Tart in a conversation and I'm like, man, Tart, or Jimmy Ward, let's say Jimmy Ward, right? If I casually bring up Jimmy Ward and like, I really liked how when the 49ers had Jimmy Ward, he had a lot of positional flexibility and he go in the slot. You won't really hear anything about, like, nobody would really care. They won't say anything. But if you bring up Trey Lance in any context, it's so divisive. I don't know why. But hopefully one day there's 30 for 30 on this entire situation and we can figure it out, because it's interesting. I will probably see in the comments below. People watch into the last 57 minutes of the show. And I'll probably see comments. It's like, Trey Lance terrible, sucks, blah, blah, blah. And they just, and it's like, why are you so worked up over a kid that just never really played for the Niners? I don't know. Very interesting. But here we go. Get to the next caller. 49 problems. Good morning, man. Thank you for patiently waiting.
Hey, my guy, I miss you guys, man. How y'all been, bro?
Oh, man, just chilling. 49ers, number 1 seed, feeling good. Let's go.
Bro, hey, my heart is so fragile this year with these Niners.
You're breaking up.
Am I back?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Hey, I'm just extremely nervous and scared, bro. Every team to me is like the best team of all time. I don't care if it's the Bucks, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Rams. They all scare me because anything can happen, and I just desperately need a Super Bowl, bro. Like, I feel like if the Niners don't win this year, I'll always be a Niner fan, but I don't even want to watch football. And so, I don't want to play the Rams. They probably scare me the most out of anybody. And I use the example of the year that we beat the Rams, I don't know how many times in a row, and they beat us that one year or that one game. Same with the Cowboys. It only takes one game for everything to come crashing down. So I want to have a good attitude. I don't want to be scared, but my heart, I feel like that girlfriend you really love, and you just know that you guys have had your differences, and you just don't know if you can trust her wholeheartedly. And that's pretty much what I feel about my Niners. Like, we're favored. We got the bye. We needed the rest. Everything's working in our favor. I kind of think we're better sometimes when we're hunting teams. This year we're hunted, but the other thing that I think helps us is we're so good. Like, we're so good. I think they did a great job of addressing all the issues of the past that have kind of harmed them outside the kicker, even though they tried to do that. But it's like, man, there's like no excuses. We got everything in our favor. We got the bye. We got health coming back. We were able to get Chase Young. Like, are you serious? Like, even though I feel like he's not the guy I thought he was, like when he came into the league, it's still Chase Young. And I know sometimes you have those moments where you fantasize, like, wouldn't that be cool if we had Bosa and Chase Young? It's like we have that. We have Hargrave. We're gonna have Armstead coming back. We have McCaffrey. How the hell do we have Christian McCaffrey? Like, that doesn't make sense, but it's everything lined up in our favor to get it. So we have to get it, bro.
I think if the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl this year, they have as good of a chance as any other year. And loaded from top to bottom, Brock Purdy's playing at a high level. I feel like we'll see even a different type of energy from the 49ers defense at the start of the playoffs. So, I mean, this is one of the best chances that you'll have because everything's hitting on all cylinders.
Like we have the team where like if you're playing Madden and you pick the Niners, they're like, oh, you gonna cheat? Like we're that good. Like, oh, I won't even use the Niners because I don't want to smash you. Let me go use somebody more fair. All the way down to Purdy, dog. It's like when you play Madden and you draft the Trey Lance quarterback because obviously the attributes line up in his favor, and then somehow you just draft somebody later. And when you simulate the games, he wins every game, and somehow you're in the playoffs. It's just like, wow, we got an MVP candidate at quarterback on top of everything else. It's like it really shouldn't come down to Jake Moody making a big kick because you think about the run we made in '94, and sadly that was 1,000 years ago. It's like, damn, like we didn't. I don't even remember who the kicker was, And it's like also like I know a lot of people want to see good games and may the best team win. I hope there's upsets in the AFC, so the worst team in the AFC gets to the ball and the Niners just smash like we did the Chargers. I don't need to see no good game, bro. Like I just want to see a ring. You feel me?
Yeah, I think at this point, again, we've waited so long, and I'm like the poster boy for wanting to just see good football games, but I would not mind seeing a Seattle Seahawks versus Denver Broncos Super Bowl where the Seahawks just steamrolled them. Yes. If that's the 49ers, would not be mad at all. Throw the good football game stuff out the window. Let me see the 49ers just hoist that Lombardi so people can stop saying it's been since 1994.
100%. Because it almost feels like this is the year where this is like our back-to-back campaign. It's like last year I feel like the Super Bowl was like in our grasp and like they say we never got a shot, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like this is like we're running it back and it's kind of been a season like, how when a team is trying to go back-to-back, it's like so draining and they have to be focused all year and it's hard keeping everybody locked in. I think in our case, it's almost the opposite. Like I think if everything else was even, I think it's the hunger of our players and the focus of our players that may be the difference because we've experienced all the heartbreak. And it's like guys are like really focused in. They really know like if they can't do it this year, you can pretty much forget about it. They did a great thing with the salary cap where they converted all that money and they just been in a position to add people throughout the year, which I think was pretty brilliant. Just the way they're kind of finagling everything. But it's like Super Bowl or bust doesn't even say it this year. Like I'm a fragile human being right now, bro. I don't know how else to say it.
Hey, man, well, hopefully the 49ers don't let you down and we can have a joyous podcast. I don't know, what is it, February 14th or whenever it is, the day after the Super Bowl. Hopefully it's the 49ers we're talking about.
Yes, sir, man. Heaven on earth is Niners win the Super Bowl, 100%.
Yeah. All right, man. 49 Problems. Appreciate you coming on.
All right. Appreciate you guys, man.
All right. And the way that the 49ers are the favorites right now and just how good they are, it's hard to fathom them just like losing. Again, I mean, we know kind of what that may look like or why it may get to that point, right? Because we've seen the 49ers lose 4 games this year. Again, that week 18 game, whatever. But the 4 games that we've lost is very specific in the way in which they did. It's just hard for me to just picture that happening in the postseason. Just everybody there, ready, rocking and rolling. But guys, I didn't see that Baltimore game coming either. So we'll see. We'll see. Everybody's ready to go. I only want to speak that to existence. Appreciate everybody coming on the show right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we should be back tomorrow morning. Till then, I'll see y'all. Peace.